Caitlin Clark's first day in the European League felt like a ripple that turned into a wave, eventually crashing into the shores of the WNBA, sending shockwaves through both continents. It's one thing to be a rising star, but it's a whole different ball game to step into a league with new cultures, languages, and even coffee styles. When Clark walked onto that European court, something shifted, and not just in the stat book. The way she held herself, the familiar and oddly charming expressions she pulled when talking to teammates or addressing the crowd. It was all part of her magnetism. It wasn't just a game. It was a performance, and she was the headline act. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. To understand the gravity of this moment, one has to consider the transition from the WNBA to the European League, a move that not every player embraces gracefully. Many stars get thrown off by the time differences, the smaller gyms, or the fan sections packed with flag-waving locals chanting things in a language even Google Translate might shrug at. Yet Clark's approach was different. From the first warm-up drill, she showed no signs of the usual rookie jitters or that hesitant body language that sometimes comes when you're playing in a new zip code, especially one with that many syllables and street names. As the game tipped off, fans quickly realized this wasn't just another American player taking her European detour. Clark's court vision seemed to expand beyond the hardwood. She scanned the floor like a chess master, spotting gaps that most players would miss if they were staring directly at them. You could almost see the opposing coach yelling instructions in frustration, while making those hand gestures that are universal for, what was that? Caitlin's demeanor was laid back yet intensely focused, a paradox that fans, new and old, found impossible not to watch. During the early minutes, she moved with an ease that looked less like an effort and more like a dance. She zigzagged past defenders, and each movement felt calculated, but not in that robotic way that can suck the fun out of a game. There was joy in it, a playful taunt almost, as if she knew she wasn't just playing against them. She was teaching them. By halftime, the buzz wasn't just in the stands, but across social media. WNBA fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Highlights started to spread online with captions like, "Clark doing Clark things across the pond," accompanied by fire emojis and capital letters. It wasn't just her scoring that caught people's attention. There were moments that felt unscripted and genuine, like when she made a no-look pass that completely bamboozled an opponent, causing them to look around in confusion, as if trying to remember where they left their keys. However, it wasn't all about smooth plays and clever assists. There was a grit to Clark's game that showed through when she dived for loose balls or battled through a tough defensive press. Fans appreciated this hustle, as did her new European teammates, who seemed to warm up to her as the minutes ticked by. Her attitude was infectious. It was the way she clapped her hands and barked encouragement, the nods of acknowledgement after a missed shot that said, "It's fine, we'll get the next one." Even the European coach, a stern-faced veteran who looked like he'd seen a thing or two, couldn't help but crack a half smile every time Clark pulled off something unexpected. As the game reached its closing moments, there was an electricity in the air. You could sense the fans waiting for that final Clark moment, something to seal this debut into memory. And she didn't disappoint. With just under a minute left, the team was down by 1 point. Clark caught the ball behind the three-point line, hesitated for just a beat as the defender lunged at her, and then launched a shot that felt like it hung in the air for an hour. The gym seemed to hold its breath until the ball fell through the net with a crisp, satisfying swish. Fans excel in a new environment like that. It's not just about knowing where the basket is, it's knowing how to fit into a completely new system. Clark did it with such nonchalance that it almost made you wonder if she had a hidden playbook on how to handle European defense, cultural differences, and even those bus rides that feel like you're traversing half the continent. Meanwhile, the online chatter turned into debates. Fans from both sides of the ocean argued about what this debut meant. Would European defenders adapt and figure her out? Would Clark elevate her new team to the finals? Should WNBA teams take note of how their American players are dominating overseas and reevaluate their strategies? The conversations were endless, and every hot take felt like a small tribute to the whirlwind Caitlin had just stirred up. Yet, despite all the buzz and analysis, one thing stood out: Caitlin Clark's love for the game. It radiated through the screen and off the court. Her facial expressions, from the subtle eye rolls when a ref made a call she didn't agree with to the smirk she flashed when a play went just right, spoke volumes. She wasn't there to prove anything to anyone. She was just there to play. After the game, Clark casually addressed the media with the same ease she had on the court. When asked about her first day, she didn't drop any cliches or overly polished statements. Instead, she chuckled, mentioning how she still couldn't figure out the pre-game meal choices and how the bread tasted a little different than what she was used to. It was a simple remark, yet it reflected something deeper: her ability to stay grounded amid the whirlwind. Fans, both local and from across the ocean, loved it. They could see a bit of themselves in Clark's quirks and adjustments. She wasn't trying to be the perfect ambassador or the untouchable star. She was just being Caitlin, and that authenticity added a new layer to her growing legend. Looking back at her debut, it was clear that this wasn't just a game, it was an introduction. Caitlin Clark showed the European League a glimpse of something fresh, dynamic, and exciting. For fans who had only heard the buzz, seeing it live was an experience. For those who already knew her, it was like watching an old friend make new memories. The impact was instant and unforgettable, leaving everyone eager to see what would come next. The media speculated about it, and the players she shared the court with were, at the very least, curious. Could she redefine the way Americans play abroad? Would her approach change the dynamics of a league with deep traditions and a particular style? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: Caitlin Clark had arrived, and she wasn't here just to blend in. The aftermath of her debut might not be the focus here, but it's hard not to feel the undercurrent of excitement that's rippling through both leagues. This wasn't just about stats or winning games, it was about a moment when something clicked. Clark's journey had crossed a major threshold, one that opened up new possibilities, new rivalries, and new challenges. Yet she faced it all with the same spirit that made her a standout back in the WNBA, a mix of grit, grace, and a hint of playful audacity. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.